1 year, one single date, 476. In most people's minds, there's only one scene tied to that year. Rome fell, everything burned, the end. But come on, Rome didn't wake up one morning, stretch, and go, "Ugh, I'm not feeling empire today, let's collapse." 476 wasn't really the death of an empire. It was Europe getting reformatted. When the Western Roman Empire fell, it wasn't just a crown hitting the ground. Borders collapsed, the army evaporated, the flow of money was cut off, and an entire continent slid into a completely different kind of chaos that would last for centuries. Don't think of this like a boring 10-minute history lecture. Think of it like a chain of dominoes. One piece falls, and the whole world changes right after it. If you're ready, let's tip that first piece. First, let's ask the question, what really made Rome, Rome? The massive buildings? The unbeatable legions? Caesar? No. The answer is way more boring, but way more powerful. The system. Rome was basically a giant operating system that made an entire continent run like a single body. It collected taxes, built those famous roads, and protected the ports. In other words, Rome was like a guarantee certificate. If the Roman flag was flying somewhere, there was order. If there was order, there was trade. And if there was trade, there was money. But this massive machine ran on one fuel, the legions. And that's where the first domino falls, the borders. In the final centuries of the Western Empire, the biggest problem was this. Borders no longer worked like a wall. The line between can pass and can't pass was basically gone. In the north and east, there were peoples constantly on the move. Goths, Vandals, Franks. History books call them barbarians, but the truth is more complicated. These weren't just people attacking, they wanted land from Rome, jobs from Rome. So what did Rome do? Instead of stopping the wave, it tried to manage it. The logic was, come on in, cross the border, but be my soldier. Work for me. Sounds reasonable, right? Like outsourcing. But this move ended up destroying Rome's own army. If you can't collect taxes, you can't pay soldiers. If you can't pay soldiers, you can't hold the border. If you can't hold the border, cities aren't safe. Trade collapses, and taxes drop even further. See it? It's a full-on death spiral. And at some point, the Roman army wasn't really Roman anymore. It became a hired sword, loyal to whoever paid. Now we get to the famous year, 476, the label year of the story. The last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, is deposed. But wait, don't expect a Hollywood scene here. Cities burning, an emperor collapsing to his knees, thunder in the sky? No, it was more like this. A huge company goes bankrupt, the sign comes down, but the workers just put on the new boss's badge. Power changed hands, yes, but the life of an ordinary peasant didn't instantly change that day. The real change came afterward, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. So what happened when the central authority disappeared? The third domino fell. Trade networks broke. The Mediterranean used to be a Roman lake. Grain from Egypt, olive oil from Spain, moving safely. But once Rome was gone, roads became dangerous. Piracy grew. Every little kingdom, every local lord started setting their own taxes and their own rules. The result? People turned inward. Cities shrank. The global economy ended and the local economy began. Rome's bright urban world gave way to something darker, more rural. Let's be clear, 476 wasn't the end of the world, but it was the year the world started changing shape. The vacuum Rome left was filled by the Franks, the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths. In other words, Europe went from one giant empire run from a single center to the fragmented, multi-border map we recognize today. And this collapse taught a lesson that still applies today. When big systems fall, local systems rise. When connections break, people retreat to their own islands. When security weakens, walls go up. That's not just history, it's human behavior. Before we close, picture these two maps in your mind. On the first map, there's just one color, Rome. On the second map, there are dozens of colors, dozens of borders. 476 was the transition between those two maps. Not the end of an empire, but the beginning of a continent, Europe. So what should we talk about in the next video? Why did Rome really fall? Civil wars? The economy? Or lead poisoning? Drop a comment. What do you think was the real reason that giant machine stopped? See you next time!